Hello, I'm Ollie Sorensen, and today I'll give you a tour of my latest exhibition, now showing at Art Mûr Gallery in Montreal until December 20th. The title of the show is called La Metacrisis or Metacrisis in English, and it's connected to previous exhibitions when I spoke about the ecological crisis, but now I'm tying this to all sorts of other crises like economic injustice, globalization, pandemics, geopolitical wars, and so on. This title expresses my intuition that all these crises are somehow connected. So, as we enter the exhibition, we're first met with this piece called Ostrich Light, composed of a garage lamp connected to an extra long cable providing the electrical current, but simultaneously entangled and blocking the light. So this is for me a comment on overabundance and our denial that more is not always better. Then we have this installation entitled No Forks Given. It features a single metal fork hung on the wall, as well as two piles on each corner of the room, one with 2,000 plastic forks and another with 2,000 wooden ones. This is of course in reference to Felix González Torres, his piles of candy, which were connected to the death of his lover. But here I'm connecting the piles of forks to the death of nature. Wood or plastic, for me it doesn't matter. You can instead wash the metal fork 2,000 times and save the planet. In the next corner of the gallery, we find the work entitled War Child, which I wanted to be much more raw, to stir emotions in the viewer with this human figure, which the small size suggests that is a child we're looking at, and some of its members ending in red have been blown away, which we can find scattered on the floor. Here I don't think I could have more clearly expressed my position against military crises. On the adjacent wall we find Fire Data, a kind of a mural that evokes monthly figures, a number of forest acres burned on a certain period. So this way I'm creating visual links between the abstract data figures and the concrete forms that also look like a stylized fire. Then we have a composite piece called Protest in D, made up of 5 protest signs. It's unclear what the protest is about, but the words on these placards seem to contradict or discourage a popular mobilization. Divide is evidently taken from the catchphrase divide and conquer. Also, distract and delay are common tactics to diffuse the momentum of civil unrest. So in fact, the protest is frozen between two states, between action and inaction. The show started with many installations and objects, and now it ends with more flat paintings. This one is simply called Industrial Park. It's a skyline of factory chimneys spewing out clouds of smoke. Like the other works I've shown before and the paintings that follow, here I'm staging some contradiction between a somewhat seductive composition of color, materials and texture. You can even see glitter on the smoke that make it like shiny eye candy. And so there's a dialogue between these bright shapes and the darker subject matter that is represented. Here, obviously, it's about air pollution, and in the next painting, it's more about water pollution. This piece is entitled Plastic Continent. It recalls the mass of detritus now floating in the Pacific Ocean, and because of the concentric water currents, this trash is accumulated into a floating blob about twice the size of the state of California. We've got a few more works to go before the end of this tour. And here we have the painting called Landfill, and like the previous ones, we can see bright colors, which could suggest the vast number of toys, electronic games, clothes and other items, and their packaging, all designed to catch the eye and appeal to impulse buyers, which just as quickly move on to the next trend. And here we have another piece called Media Bias. The title is kind of like a literal pun, like a dad joke, if you will. The TV test pattern recalls the screens of legacy, but also online media. but the canvas is slanted, and that shows a bias, an inclination. So in other words, like the ostrich light at the entrance of the show, there's some kind of denial, an unfair reporting and a filtering of current events, and this leads to a crisis of information. And to conclude, we go back to more objects with this traffic safety vest and camouflage jumper, both rolled into balls under glass on pedestals to again show contradicting sides of a same worldview. Together, these balls are entitled Visible, Invisible, to express, as before, an interplay between hiding and unveiling, denying and whistleblowing, empathy and apathy, and so on. So there you go, that was my show. Thanks for watching this video until the end. If you enjoyed it, give me a like and subscribe, and see you next time.